So this week's all about time management, and today I have got a treat for you guys. Look, if you've ever struggled with setting goals and just kind of sticking to your goals, and it's something that you've struggled with, because I struggled with that forever, I'm telling you guys, you don't want to miss this video if that's you, and you definitely want to stick around for the whole thing. Look, this thing is going, for some of you guys, you're going to get this, and it's going to be like, it's going to be like mind-shattering. Look, I don't think it's going to be anything. It's not anything like revolutionary or anything crazy, but I do feel that it's going to connect some dots, like just help you connect some dots that I don't think a lot of goal setting programs do. Not anyone teaches this, and I don't think I've ever saw anyone teach this. So you guys, this is going to be packed. But look guys, this is Chase with Energy to Conquer, and today is day 52 on my experimental journey to increasing my energy, my mental clarity, and my overall focus. Guys, if you feel like you don't have enough energy, if you want some more energy to get things done, be sure check out the channel. If you like what you see, subscribe, sure would appreciate it. But look guys, today is about helping you develop that goal setting muscle, right? Like, because that's what it is. It's like any other skill. Goal setting is just a skill, and like all other skills, it's just a muscle that you develop, right? Just like you develop your arm muscles or your leg muscles, it's the same thing. You just got to work it out. So here's the problem with goal setting, right? And this is where most people get stuck. I myself, like, I've struggled with this for years, and I still struggle with it. We all do, right? It's just something that we have to develop. And the thing is, everyone talks about setting goals, long-term, mid-term goal, mid-range goals, right? 1 year, 10-year goals, whatever. Like, we've heard it all. But here's the thing, guys. If you ever set goals 6 months, 1 year, whatever, 1 month, and you have trouble sticking to those and maintaining them, what I'm going to share with you today, it's going to help you fix that problem, because it's going to help you build your goal setting muscle. The problem is, when you set a goal 6 months or a year from now, even a month from now, just depending on where you're at, some people are a little bit further along this road than others, but I'm telling you, for most of us, even a month, it's difficult, because we write it down, we set the goal, but that's kind of it. We don't never remember to go back to it. We don't ever really do anything with it, right? So we just kind of do it and forget it. And I know some people say you just write it down and stick it in your pocket, but yeah, I've tried that thousands of times. It don't really work. But here's the thing, guys. You got to have a way to work on your goal setting. Like, it's a muscle. It's something you need to exercise, and you need to exercise it daily. So as you know, this week is all about time management and just working on my schedule. So, you know, as you guys know, I've been following along. It's like all hell's been breaking loose because it's been working on my schedule. Today's been no different. I got 2 sick kids, had to take to the doctor. 2 different things going on. It's like, this is June, right? So Wednesday, I got sick kids at home. My wife ended up working from home, so it's trying to balance back and forth between her schedule, which is throwing my schedule off, and then trying to take care of the kids, right? Get them to the doctor's appointment, go get medications. Just a freaking mess, right? Anytime you go to right, change up your schedule to do time management, like, this stuff's going to happen, guys. Like, but what happens is most people quit. They just stop. They quit, right? They get a little tough, and it's like, screw this, right? But it comes back to that, how bad do you want it? And it's almost like these are test days, right? This is a test week. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's almost like I'm being tested, right? See, how bad do you want it? Are you going to stick to it even when you fall off track, even when you don't stick to the things you said that you was going to stick to? Like, are you just going to feel defeated and get defeated mentally and quit? Are you going to be like, come hell or high water, I'm going to figure this out? I may fall off the horse today, but I'm going to get back on it. And if I fall off it tomorrow, I'm going to get back on it until I get this right. And that's the attitude you got to have with a lot of this stuff. And I think it's the attitude that a lot of us are missing, because we fail once and we quit, right? We fail twice, we quit, we get sidetracked, right? It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up that counts. That's all that ever really matters. And so that's a muscle in itself. That's a skill that we develop. But, you know, it comes back to that goal setting skill, because the problem is, like, all this ties into the goal setting, because the problem is, when you set your monthly goals, number one, most of us forget about them by the time it rolls around, and it's so far from our mind. But the ones that do remember, if we don't hit it, like, what do? We just quit, right? And you can't just jump back next month, right? You need a more shorter term solution to figure this out. And that's not what a lot of people, they don't teach that short term solution, right? So what I'm going to tell you today is something that you can use to work on this daily, to build that skill set, that goal setting muscle daily, right? And it kind of helps you develop grit, fortitude, all those qualities as well. And this is what it is. Time management, your daily time management is nothing but daily goal setting, right? I told you guys it isn't going to be earth-shattering new knowledge, but I don't think a lot of us have ever made that connection. So when we start putting things to help manage our time, like I'm going to do this at X time, right? Or I'm going to spend X amount of hours working on this today from 2 to 3 or whatever it is, right? Maybe I'm just going to spend 4 hours throughout the day working on X, right? Whatever that is for you. Or maybe you're going to do this at 9, you're going to do this at 3, or maybe you're just going to structure out your whole day. But I'm telling you right now, from experience, if your days have not been structured for a long time and you're going to structure out your day every 30 minutes, it's going to be a chore, right? You may want to start with a 2 or 3 hour period, maybe a 4 hour period to start out. Do that for a week, add on another hour, add on another hour. There's this fly flying all around my head, screwed up this whole video. It's like a mayfly or something, so I'm sure it's probably in the whole thing. It just keeps flying, landed on my phone. But anyways, guys, so like, you know, you start with the little, right? Maybe your time management is so bad, and that's okay. Like you got to start where you're at. You can't start out based on someone who wrote 15 books, right? Their time management is probably going to be a lot better than yours, just saying, right? They figured out how to write books on the side, or maybe it's their primary business, which is, you know, that's more of a creative work that it's going to require some time management to get done. It's the reason most people who attempt to write books never get them finished, right? It's a time management issue. So just saying, maybe you need to start out with an hour or 2 chunks, right? Do that for a week, add an hour each week, right? And kind of build that muscle and grow that muscle, right? Because that's all it is. It's daily goal setting. So you got short-term, like mid-term, and long-term goals, but most people say short-term's 1 month, right? Short-term's 6 months, short-term's 1 year, you know, or whatever it is they say. But most time it's like mid-term is 6 months, and long-term is like what, 5 to 10 years, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever. Some people say short-term's 1 year, mid-term's 3 years, long-term's 5 years. Like there's all different things, but no one's telling you to set short-term goals, which is daily, right? And there's a big difference here, and this is something that took me a long time to figure out, that I'm going to share with you, that's also, I feel, is going to help a lot of you out. And I know for the ones of you who get it, it's like this is going to be well worth your time to watch this video. But it's this: there's 2 different type of goals, and I think a lot of times we get completely screwed up. So you've got outcome goals and you've got process goals. And this is something that's not taught enough. Like I've took a lot of goal setting, I guess, courses and workbooks and different audio programs, and no one really talks about this. There's a couple books that talk about it, but that's it. I don't even think they're really goal setting books. But you got outcome goals and you got process goals. And so what I mean by that is, your outcome is, I want to make $10,000 this month, right? And so that's something that you can't necessarily control. So you're not going to go from 0 to $10,000. Like if you hadn't figured out how to make $2,000 and you set your goal, if you hadn't figured out how to make $2,000 a month and you set your goal at $10,000 a month, like that's going to be a really stretched goal. It's probably not going to end well. So instead of setting it up to set yourself to fail, because when you get towards the end of the month or the middle of the month, or you get probably towards the middle to about 3/4 of the way into the month, you're going to start feeling defeated, and it's going to demotivate you, because you're going to realize there's probably not a chance in hell you're going to hit this goal, right? Because you know you're 3/4 in and you've made $1,000, and now you got to make another 9. You never made over $2,000 in a month, right? And these are just numbers I'm throwing out just to kind of make it easy, right? So now you got to come up with this, you know, this Hail Mary miracle, right? How are you going to do it? And you know, ideally in our minds, it's like, oh, well, that's going to put us in a position where we've got to, you know, push harder than we normally would, kind of put us in a corner to fight our way out of. And that's great in theory, but what usually happens is about 3/4 of the way through, realize it's not a chance in hell it's going to happen. And so we become demotivated, and now we're kind of depressed, and we're not really have our energy, right? Our energy game's off, because depression, that's a negative emotion like this, and that's just this inner battle in your mind that's just consuming energy, these thoughts, these negative thoughts and feelings and emotions you're having to deal with and process and stress, right? And you're feeling down, defeated. So there's no way how can you be a peak performer when you're feeling down and defeated, right? So we got to be a little bit smarter at this, and that's an outcome goal, and that's where most people screw up. Here is the secret to this thing and making it work: process goals. So what a process goal is, let's take the work that you need to do to hit $10,000. Like, how many phone calls do you need to make, right? How many conversations do you need to have? And let's chase after those numbers, because those are the numbers that we can control, right? So I don't know, whatever it is you do, like maybe I need to spend, you know, and I'm just using these money numbers, but whatever your goal is, right? So maybe you need to spend, maybe you're wanting to spend 20 hours this month working on a side project, right? We'll break that down. What do you need to do to make that work, right? Because if you set your goal for 20 hours and then you get 3/4 of the way through the month and you realize you've only got like 2 hours or 3 hours, right? Or 5 hours, now you got to make up 15. And this is a side project, right? It's not your primary focus. It's going to be tough to make that up. But what you can do is make outcome goals, process goals, and your process goals are just going to be, well, I'm going to work 5 hours a week, so I'm going to break that up into an hour 5 days a week. And so that's your goal. Boom, for hour 5 days a week. And then you hit that. Like, that's the goal, right? So don't set it on the outcome, which is I'm going to have $10,000, right, in income, or, you know, I'm going to do whatever, I'm going to get this project finished. But rather make it about time, make it about things you can do, right? Make it about things that you can control. That's what the process goal is, things that you can control. And the outcomes are things that are out of your control. But if you do the things consistently in the processes that are going to get you the outcomes that you want, eventually the outcomes are going to happen. And yes, you can make outcome goals, and you want outcome goals. Maybe you want to make $100,000 a year, maybe you want to make $1 million a year, whatever that goal is, right? But just setting that goal in itself it gives you a benchmark to measure, like where you're at. But really what's going to get you there is the processes of what you need to do to get to $100,000 a year, what you need to do to get to $1 million a year. And then you just take that and work backwards and break that. What do you need to do monthly to make that happen? What do you need to do weekly to make that happen? What do you need to do daily? And then that comes back to the time management. And now you've got this little muscle you can work on daily, right? And you can use those measuring sticks, those little milestones, right, at the end of the week. Weekly goals, monthly goals, right? So you can set those up at the end of the week. And look, guys, you know, that's the muscle. That's it. That's how you develop that muscle. No one's talking about that. No one's really telling you that. Time management is setting those process goals, right? And sticking to them, right? It's managing your schedule so you can get those in there, those process goals, so you can hit those bigger outcome goals. But if you're struggling to hit the outcome goals, especially if you're setting reach goals or big, hairy, audacious goals, like wherever you want to call them, right? A lot of people call them a lot of different things. So if you're trying to reach those, you got to focus on the process, because what's going to happen is you kind of get lost in the shuffle. You don't know what to do. There's this uncertainty. There's this, I guess, you just don't know what to do, right? But when you set those process goals, you know exactly what you need to do, and it gives you a target daily, and you can practice that muscle. But that outcome goal, that long range or even a mid-range outcome goal, it don't really give you a track to run on, right? So you get into the indecision state the uncertainty state, and that just takes a tax on you mentally, right? Because you just don't know what to do. So that's how we get overwhelmed. I made a video about that, I don't know, a while back. You can go look it up. It's on, yeah, I think it's The Cost of Indecision. So you can go look that one up. I can't remember what day it is, but you can find it on there. So look guys, that's all I've got for you today, is understanding that goal setting is a muscle. Like, it's a skill, and like any other skill, it's just like a muscle. It's something you have to develop and get good at. But most of us haven't been taught how to develop our skill setting muscle, and it's something that we do on a daily basis, not a weekly, not a monthly, especially not an annual basis, right? I'm not saying we don't set those weekly, monthly goals. Those are just parts of the bigger picture. But if you're struggling to set goals and actually stick to the goals and complete the goals, you've got to dial it back, and you've missed a step, right? And no one's teaching that step. You've missed a critical step, and that's the daily, right? And every day you get a new fresh attempt to try and hit that goal again. Even if you failed yesterday, even if you failed the last 7 days, even if you failed the last 90 days, I don't care, right? Every day you wake up is a new day to try to flex that muscle, right? And stick to it, right? And you're just developing that skill and that grit and that fortitude. And it doesn't matter how many times you fail, doesn't matter. You know, it's how many times you get up. And that's where the grit comes from, that's where the fortitude comes from, that's where just the mental toughness, that's where your goal setting skills and your ability to set a goal and stick to it. And when you do that, you create all this like confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. Like, you've got all this stuff going on that it creates, and you get this self-belief. And that's the most powerful thing, because if you believe you can do it, right? And what's the Think and Grow Rich is like, what is it, geez, I can't think. I could tell you that thing anytime, but right now my mind's going to go blank, right? But it's what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve, right? And then what's Henry Ford say? That was Napoleon Hill. Henry Ford says, if a man, what a man thinks he can do, he's right. And if a man thinks he can do something, he's right. And if he thinks he can't do it, he's also right. So it's whatever you think. Like, if you already think you can't do something, you're never going to be able to do it. But if you think you can do it, then you can do it. It's just that belief, right? And how do you develop that belief? That's another skill set, another muscle, right? That's that mindset, that skill set, that I can do it. And that comes from that self-worth, that self-confidence, and that self-belief. And you develop that. It goes back to the same thing, those daily goal setting muscles. So how do people set goals to take their business to $1 billion? They don't start by setting a goal to take their business to $1 billion, right? I'm not saying they didn't set that goal in the beginning, but I'm saying that you start by doing daily, build it up monthly, then you get good at the monthly, right? And then you take it to the quarterly, and then you get good at the quarterly, you take it to the semi-annual, then you go to the annual, right? Then you start setting 5-year goals, 10-year goals, right? And then but you're hitting them all the way, because you can set those goals till the cows come home, right? Don't matter. The rest of your life you can set those goals, but if you're not hitting them, it's not doing you any good. It's almost doing the opposite effect and training you to, or conditioning you mentally to believe that you're not going to achieve it, right? Because no matter how hard you believe, like, until you start getting some successes, it's hard to get that momentum, right? But once you get that momentum, it just flips the switch in your head, and it gives you the ability, right? It gives you the ability to believe and then kind of see, right? Whatever the mind of man can believe and conceive and believe, right? So once you fully believe it, then you can achieve it. And that's how people get to the point where they set any goal they set, they get, and it happens, and they make it happen. And it's like, they seem like freaks of nature, right? But that's what it is. They develop that muscle. They didn't start out that way. They weren't born that way. We're not born with this goal setting muscle, right? Nobody's born with those skill sets. We develop them. It's just most of us don't know how to develop them, because none of us have really been taught, and nobody's really teaching this stuff. It's more, I guess, flashy and I guess sexy to teach 1 year, 5-year, 10-year goals, which is good to have a vision, right? For those that believe in the Bible, what's it say? Whether the people, was it, where there is no vision, the people perish, something to that effect. The people perish where there is no vision. But you know, and that's good. You got to have that vision. But the thing is, if you don't know how to focus on that vision daily, weekly, monthly, if you don't know how to do it daily, you're not going to have to figure out how to do it. You're not going to know how to do it weekly, and you're not going to know how to do it monthly. And that's where it comes back to. And that's the reason this conversation of time management is so important, is because it gives you daily practice to develop those skill sets, those goal setting muscles. So guys, that's all I've got for you today. This is a huge one, and I know a lot of you are going to benefit from this. But look guys, if you find any value in this content, be sure to smash the like button for me. I sure would appreciate it. Like, that would help me out, and that would help me reach more people. So smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you like it, if you don't like it, I don't care. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I know this is going to help a lot of people. And I guarantee that a lot of you that are seeing this haven't seen this anywhere. Because I've looked, I've tried to find it. It's not out there, right? It's not out there. Like, I've had to piece this stuff together and kind of figure it out as I go. So anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel. Look, it's loaded. Like, I've got so much stuff in here. Even if you don't have an energy problem, look, if you've got an energy problem, you definitely want to subscribe, because that's what it's about. It's just winning this energy game, because when it comes down to it, like, everything comes back to energy. Like, if we don't have the energy, we're not going to have physical health. Like, we're not going to have the mental health. We're not going to have the self-belief, the confidence. We're not going to have the ability to do the things that we know we should be doing. We're not going to have time to invest in relationships. We're not going to have time to invest in, you know, our careers, our businesses, whatever it is you have going on, our finances. Like, all these things are going to struggle. And it's just a downward spiral when you don't have the energy. Because the thing is, as we get older, it's just less and less energy. If we never learn how to manage that and maximize it, it's just going to be a losing game for you, right? It's a losing game for all of us if we don't manage it. So we got to figure out how to manage it, because our quality of life really comes down to our energy, you know. Most of us have a lot of things that we want to do, want to get around to doing, but we just don't have time to do it. And the thing is, for most of us, we just don't have the energy when we do have time to do it. So we end up not doing it, right? So anyways, guys, if that's something that resonates with you, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Hope you guys have a blessed one.